I noticed that first of all that I'm always shiny, and if you are listening to my podcast, not watching on YouTube, um, my there's reflection on my arms uh, that, and it's you. So here's why I'm always shiny. Okay, I'm not talking about my personality. I'm talking about literally. I'm shiny because I'm either coming from the gym, so it's sweat. I sweat very fast. Uh, or I'm coming out of the ice plunge and I work out of my garage, which is a studio, which is attached in my ice plunge, and sauna's inside the garage, outside the garage. So I'm coming directly out of my ice plunge, or I'm coming out of my sauna, which is also sweaty. Or, and this is why I'm shiny today, I'm holding a bottle of natural insect repellent because my studio is in my garage and my door's wide open and there's a shitload of mosquitoes. Oh, I don't know where they're coming from. I know there's been an explosion of mosquitoes, and for some reason, mosquitoes love me, so I get bit constantly while I'm working, and so I've got to spray this shit all over my arms. And so anyway, that's why I'm always shiny. If you've been curious why this crazy Korean is shiny, just there's my explanation. All right, 5 gratitudes today, because I need to practice gratitude more. I think everyone does. It's something that we know is good for us. And we got to put reps in, right? Like anything else. And we just forget. It's like one of those things where like, okay, yeah, it makes sense. I agree. Gratitude, change your state, to not only check things off, but to really practice believing that we have things that we are grateful for today. So we're not in this chasing state, but more in a grounded, attracting state. And of course, when you're in that state for a longer period of time, then the things that you are chasing comes, or at least meet you halfway. I feel like the universe meets us halfway. Okay, so number one, and I think it's important that when you're doing this exercise, that you are not just saying the same things that you're grateful for, because then those gratitudes become kind of lukewarm. Like you're just going through the motions, right? Because if you say, your child, your partner, or whatever your knee-jerk gratitude is, that's great that you're grateful for that. But think of some other ones. Think of different ones. Think of nuance, and stuff that falls in between the cracks, if you will, right? So today, the first thing I'm grateful for is the change in weather in Los Angeles. I live in LA, where it's always 90, and fall is here. So it's overcast outside, and it feels very cozy. Like I got to put on socks in the morning, and it feels not. Listen, it's not as good as New York. Fall in New York is next level, right? Where the leaves are golden, and if you go up, like if you drive upstate in New York in the fall and you go apple picking and shit, and you're eating because we go there, we're not going there this year, but we go there every year this time, and you get the what are those donuts called? There's a name for those donuts. They're just those plain donuts that are fresh. That and some coffee, and you're apple picking, and the leaves are like, I mean, they're just straight out of a movie, right? Like that, and then you're like listening to live music. It just feels like a whole different planet. LA doesn't hit those kind of high notes, unfortunately, but there is a change in weather. I mean, a week ago it was 100 degrees. It was unbearable. It was so hot, like you can't even like touch the steering wheel hot, right? And now, like today, officially, it's dropped to, I would say, 72. And it's perfect because it's like you don't have to put on a jacket, but you could actually go and ride your motorcycle, and you're not going to be sweaty. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm grateful for today. That's number one. Number two, my story. I am super grateful for my story. And if you know it, you know that most of my life I've been trying to rip out chapters because I feel like half of my adult life was a failure that included a career as a screenwriter, and then of course a 5-year marriage. It was a 10-year relationship, but a 5-year marriage, I went through a divorce, and so then like, I felt like these are two giant stains in my story. But today, as a 51-year-old who has a very different life than when I was 35, I'm so grateful for my story. And if it wasn't for the 10 years of me as a struggling screenwriter, I'm getting bit. As I've already gotten bit probably 4 times in the last 5 minutes of being out here in the garage. But if it wasn't for me putting in 8 hours a day in a coffee shop by myself, punching keys, thinking of clever dialogue and act breaks to sell the $1 million screenplay, because that would be my ticket to happiness and success and all of that. If it wasn't for me laying tracks then, I wouldn't be able to pump out these self-betterment books the way that I do. I write very fast, and it's not because I suddenly have acquired a gift. It's because I put in 10 years writing my ass off every day. And so writing self-help books, they're so much easier to me than screenplays. And so I'm known to knock out an entire book almost before contracts are signed. Definitely before I get paid, because in the publishing world, everything's a little bit late, a little bit slow. Checks roll in, not so fast. And so by the time you get, it goes to your agency and it goes through the whole system, it takes a while. So I'm turning in first drafts of books before even getting my first check. And that is because of my story. That is because I was forced. I wasn't forced, but because I was, I felt like I was forced, because I put a lot of weight on trying to make it as a screenwriter, because I was tied to my worth and being a husband and what I thought I needed to bring to the table. There was a lot of desperation. That desperation translated into forcing myself to sit in coffee shops for 8 hours a day, and that has paid off significantly as an author today. So I'm grateful for that part of my story. And also, yes, my divorce was difficult, and of course it was one of the hardest things I've ever gone through. But at the same time, if it wasn't for my divorce, I don't know where I would be or who I would be. It was the greatest repositioning of my life. My divorce was my initiation. And just off topic real quick, I think it's one of the things that I'm just going to say men. I think generationally, we are lacking initiation. But because I do a lot of men's work, I'm in more men's circles than women's circles. And I think men these days, young men, are lacking initiation. I feel like you need to go through your version of a hero's journey to come back to the village changed. And not a lot of young men are doing that. I think a lot of young men these days are, they're savvy as fuck. They know a lot of things. But they almost have too much information where instead of just doing, throwing themselves into something, they're evaluating everything, right? They're running everything through GPT chat and weighing options almost too much, where it's like you just got to go out and do shit and fall on your ass, right? Like that's kind of gone now, I think, because as a society we are so advanced, bumpers, lots of bumpers these days. But my point is that that call to adventure was ignited by my divorce, and because of that, I am so grateful today. So, fall kicking in, one gratitude I'm super grateful for. I feel that in my body, not just saying it. Even though we are not going apple picking in upstate New York this year, unfortunately. My divorce, super grateful for my divorce and that part of my story, which I used to think was a giant stain. My quote unquote failed attempt at screenwriting, my career, that I'm super grateful for, because it laid tracks and makes me a better author today. Number 4, I'm going to say I am super grateful for my change in fitness. So if you don't know, I've been CrossFitting since I was 35. 35 is when I did my first squat. And since then, that's all I've been doing. And it's something I've kind of become addicted to, is that form of fitness, and have rarely switched it up. And these days, I'm finally switching it up. I'm kind of getting tired of the workouts where they're 5 minutes and you're going as hard as you can. I want to switch it up. And so, like tomorrow, I'm going to go swimming, and I want to try to swim like half a mile, which to me is a marathon. I'm doing more like running. I'm trying to just get out of the house, and if I don't go to the gym, I'll just go out and run, in the neighborhood. So I'm grateful for, I don't know what the word is. I'm grateful for my giving permission to myself to do different types of fitness. It feels honest to me. It feels right, And finally, I'm going to say my last gratitude number 5. And by the way, I hope you're thinking about what you're grateful for today. That isn't what you're usually grateful for. That was me buying some time as I think about number 5. And I want to be honest. I don't want to just throw shit out there. So let me think about this. Let me drop into my body and try to feel what I'm grateful for today. Number 5. Oh, I know. It's my setup. It's my home. My little ranch-style house here in Altadena. I grew up in Los Angeles, and the dream was always to have a house in the Hollywood Hills, made of glass, like a fancy modern house. My favorite house is Spanish style or ranch style. And I ended up in Altadena, a little. I didn't even know. I thought Altadena was a place where milk was made. Growing up in LA, like, who the fuck lives in Altadena? It's very like, it's a small little discreet city that no one knows about, next to Pasadena, and it's very kind of farmy. Well, it's become kind of the trending city now. It's I think it's one of the fastest growing cities in LA, and it's because in Altadena there's backyards and there's land and there's driveways, and I think it's also like a zone for animals. Like, I think it has like a farming zone where you could have horses and chickens. And anyway, post pandemic, it's kind of become where everyone is trying to buy homes, and I mean, not just here, but it's kind of blown up. And we got here right before the explosion of real estate, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for this little home where I have my studio, my sauna, my ice plunge. This is where I work out of. I used to work out of coffee shops, and I couldn't work unless I was in a coffee shop. And now, like, if I was to be honest with myself, because I was just at a coffee shop, just like 30 minutes ago, I left a coffee shop because I actually enjoy working from home now, and this has never been the case. Like, I feel the most comfort in this space. It's where I podcast. It's where I, write and do my videos and stuff. It's just in my garage. Weezer has a song. What is it in? Isn't it in my garage? I feel safe. Okay, I'm not gonna. Sorry, I don't want to hurt your ears, but I feel like that song. I don't know if it's called "In My Garage," but it's about feeling very safe in his garage, and then also channeling '90s Christian Slater from a movie called "Pump Up the Volume," where he creates this underground radio station using various old school, I don't know, satellite. I guess it's his dad's equipment in his basement, and he is known as Harry. I think Harry Hardon. I don't know. Anyway, channeling both Weezer and Pump Up the Volume, and that just feels like my podcast from my garage in Altadena. Anyway, those are my 5 gratitudes. And let me just take a beat and give you some time to think about yours. What are you grateful for today? What are you grateful for that you haven't been grateful for in a while? And don't just say something, like really take a beat, drop into your body. What are you grateful for? What do you feel gratitude for in your life today? I think it's an important practice, and I know I need to practice it more, and I'm encouraging you to, and maybe today is your reminder. I also want to say that as you do it, don't just think about it, but really drop into your body and feel about it. Feel your gratitudes. Thank you for listening. Be well.